Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. After Claire tells Nate about the dirty breakup plot, Audra lies. Here is what fans of the Young and the Restless can expect from Wednesday, August 20's recap, which reveals that Audra Charles will like when Claire Newman confesses the nasty breakup scheme to Nate Hastings. Billy Abbott will appear anxious that it's coming up so quickly because Sally Spectra will ask him to be her date for the launch party next week in the park. Before admitting that she has hired Audra, Sally will reassure Billy that they are prepared to roll and make a suggestion concerning a secret weapon. Sally will assert that she can trust Audra and that they were fortunate to have her when Billy questions her ability to do so. Chelsea Lawson and Adam Newman will discuss whether Kane Ashby will take revenge for the story published by Newman Media at the Jazz Lounge. Chelsea will also discuss the advantages of Kane forming an alliance with Victor Newman, but Adam will have doubts about the viability of Victor and Nick Newman's plan and will make references to his own. When Sally and Billy get there, Sally will tell everyone how disappointed she is, especially in Chelsea, that Billy was drawn into the Aristotle Dumas controversy by Newman Media. Billy will propose that by promoting the impending Abbott Communications launch, which Sally will be leading, they can put things right. Adam won't brag about a rival, but he will commend Billy for putting Sally in charge and attempting to avoid another failure. Chelsea will wonder what Billy plans to do now that Sally's leading Abbott Communications in his stead. Billy will be evasive about his intentions and propose that Abbott Communications be the first to publicize the information. Chelsea will secretly alert Adam that Billy appears to be working on something significant, even though Adam will believe Billy is just making things up. At Society, Claire, Daniel Romalotti Jr., and Tessa Porter all chuckle when Holden Novak shares a humorous story. But when Audra and Nate enter, the atmosphere will get tense as Nate insists on going to see how Claire is doing. Claire will allude to the significance of retaliating after they have all talked about losses and pain. Claire won't be able to leave this alone, but Audra and Nate will go away to enjoy the remainder of their evening. Claire will corner Nate as he waits for drinks at the bar after hinting at the scene she's about to start. When Audra notices what's occurring, she will quickly come over to repair the damage. Claire will still disclose that Victor hired Audra to get Kyle to cheat on her, though. Claire will clarify that this breakup scheme was connected to Audra's Vibrante funding, but Audra will maintain that this is untrue. In Nice, Audra will pretend that Kyle was the one who was pursuing her and showing interest in her. Claire will raise Nate's attention to the kiss in Genoa City since she won't believe it for a second. Since Kyle has been rejected, Audra will also blame him for it and pretend that he is merely trying to instill notions in Claire's mind. Claire will regret adding to Nate's burden during a trying moment, but she wants him to understand Audra's character. From Claire's perspective, Nate shouldn't waste any more time on Audra. After Claire stomps out, Audra will keep making up stories and will plead with Nate to tell her that he thinks she's better than Claire. Nate doesn't understand why Claire would fabricate something so significant and damaging to their bond. Nate will also understand that this explains why Audra's purported change of heart about working with Victor felt strange. Nate will appear to be more likely to think that Victor withheld the funding because of Audra's failure. Audra will continue to place the responsibility on Kyle and pretend that Victor was correct when he said that he would always shatter Claire's heart. Nate will be left wondering how Audra was able to figure out Victor's thoughts. Tessa will put her hand on Daniel's close by and express gratitude for his recent success as a diversion. Daniel will acknowledge that he feels the same way since he has given Tessa hope that she can find happiness once more. Holden will get the most recent information about Audra when he follows Claire to the park, and he will acknowledge that it seems like the kind of thing she would do. Having said that, Holden will also be aware of how simple it is to fall back into Audra's web. Holden will inquire as to whether Audra has any chance of being honest about what transpired with Kyle in Nice. In the end, Claire will admit that she still has some doubts about Kyle, even if she loves him. After Claire tells Nate about the dirty breakup plot, Audra lies, and the ripple effect shakes nearly everyone connected to Newman Media, Abbott Communications, and even the personal lives of several Genoa City residents. Wednesday, August 20's episode of The Young and the Restless begins with Billy Abbott already looking restless and uneasy as Sally Spectra approaches him with a gleam of determination in her eye. Sally, buzzing with excitement and nerves, admits that she's arranged for him to accompany her to the upcoming Abbott Communications launch party in the park. Billy seems caught off guard by how quickly the event is approaching, but Sally reassures him with her characteristic confidence. She tells him that despite the chaos swirling around them, they are ready to roll. She also teases that she has a secret weapon up her sleeve, though she won't immediately admit that her weapon is none other than Audra Charles. Billy, who has never been one to accept surface-level assurances, presses Sally about whether she can actually trust Audra. After all, Audra has proven slippery and self-serving on multiple occasions. Sally, however, counters firmly, saying that Audra has already shown her worth, and that Abbott Communications was lucky to have her on board. Sally is determined to keep her faith in Audra, though Billy's suspicion lingers heavily in the air. Meanwhile, across town at the Jazz Lounge, Chelsea Lawson and Adam Newman are deep in a conversation about Kane Ashby. The shadow of Newman Media's recent article still hangs over them, and Chelsea wonders aloud whether Kane might retaliate for the scandalous piece that dragged his name into the public arena. Adam, however, is less convinced that Kane would go down that path. He muses about Victor and Nick's long-term strategy, raising doubts about whether their plan is even viable. Chelsea, with a knowing look, counters that Kane aligning himself with Victor could present surprising advantages. Still, Adam's skepticism cuts through the optimism. He insists that Kane has never been an easy ally and that his resentment toward the Newman family could easily undermine any alliance. The scene shifts back to Sally and Billy as they arrive at the lounge. Sally's mood sours instantly when she realizes Chelsea is there. She voices her disappointment, not just in Chelsea but in Billy too, who was entangled in the Aristotle Dumas controversy thanks to Newman Media's meddling. Sally feels betrayed that the narrative has turned against them, but Billy jumps in with a proposal. Rather than wallow in Newman Media's games, Billy suggests they fight back with strength by promoting Abbott Communications' imminent launch, one that Sally herself will spearhead. Adam, observing the exchange, chooses not to brag about Newman Media's victory. Instead, he surprisingly acknowledges Billy's wisdom in handing Sally the reins. He notes that this move might actually help Abbott Communications avoid another public failure. Chelsea, however, isn't satisfied. She presses Billy with probing questions about what he plans to do now that Sally is officially leading the charge. Billy, ever evasive, sidesteps direct answers and instead proposes that Abbott Communications should be the first to release critical industry news. This vague but ambitious goal leaves Chelsea uneasy. Later, Chelsea quietly leans toward Adam, hinting that Billy may have a much bigger scheme brewing. Adam is dismissive, insisting Billy might just be bluffing to keep appearances. But Chelsea's instincts tell her otherwise, planting seeds of doubt that could grow later. The heart of the drama, however, unfolds at Society. Claire Newman, Daniel Romalotti Jr., and Tessa Porter are in good spirits, sharing laughter with Holden Novak, who tells a light-hearted story to ease the tension of recent weeks. Their laughter, however, quickly fades when Audra Charles and Nate Hastings arrive hand in hand. Nate, concerned about Claire after everything that's happened, insists on checking in with her, despite Audra's attempt to steer him away. When Nate approaches Claire, the conversation shifts into dangerous territory. They begin to talk about pain, loss, and retaliation. Claire, her emotions simmering, hints that she cannot let certain things go, especially betrayals orchestrated by those closest to her. Nate listens patiently, but Audra soon notices Claire's growing agitation and intervenes, trying to smooth things over. Despite Audra's attempt at damage control, Claire corners Nate at the bar while he's waiting for drinks. Her voice is sharp, her words precise. She tells him flat out that Victor Newman hired Audra to lure Kyle into cheating on her. The revelation shocks Nate, though Audra reacts almost instantly, spinning her web of lies to deflect the accusation. Audra insists Claire is mistaken. She claims Kyle was the one pursuing her in Nice, not the other way around. She says Kyle kissed her out of his own desire, not because of some orchestrated scheme. Audra paints herself as the victim, someone caught in the crossfire of Kyle's bad decisions. Claire, however, isn't buying it. She points directly to the infamous kiss in Genoa City, reminding Nate that there's proof of Audra's manipulations. Undeterred, Audra doubles down. She blames Kyle for everything, arguing that his rejection is fueling Claire's paranoia and imagination. She suggests Kyle is the one trying to convince Claire of conspiracies, merely to absolve himself of guilt. The lies roll off Audra's tongue smoothly, But Nate is caught in the middle. He doesn't understand why Claire would fabricate something so damning, yet at the same time, Audra's insistence leaves him conflicted. Claire, emotional and fiery, tells Nate that she only wants to protect him from wasting time on someone like Audra. She urges him not to trust a woman who thrives on manipulation. But feeling overwhelmed, Nate begs Claire not to add to his burdens. He's already facing turmoil in his professional life, and this revelation leaves him torn between his affection for Audra and his loyalty to the truth. Frustrated and hurt, Claire storms out, leaving Audra to swoop in. Once Claire is gone, Audra leans heavily on Nate, pleading with him to reassure her. She wants him to say he believes in her, that he thinks she is better than Claire. But Nate hesitates, his mind replaying Claire's warning. He remembers that Audra's sudden reversal on working with Victor always felt off. Maybe Claire's story explains that odd shift. Could it be true that Victor pulled the plug on Audra because she failed him? Audra, sensing his doubt, shifts again. She argues that Kyle was always destined to break Claire's heart, and Victor was merely recognizing that truth. Nate is unsettled. How would Audra know what Victor was thinking? That insight seems too specific, too revealing, making him wonder if Claire's accusations aren't so far-fetched after all. At another table, Daniel and Tessa notice the rising tension. Tessa, seeking a distraction from the drama, places her hand gently over Daniel's. She thanks him for his support, reminding him how much his recent artistic success has given her hope that joy and stability can still be found. Daniel smiles, admitting he feels the same way. Their bond strengthens quietly in the corner, even as the chaos swirls around them. Meanwhile, Holden Novak follows Claire outside into the park. He finds her pacing, clearly rattled by what just transpired. Claire unloads, telling Holden everything she revealed to Nate and Audra's immediate denials. Holden listens carefully, acknowledging that Audra's behavior certainly sounds like her usual manipulations. Still, he warns Claire that Audra's talent for deception makes it easy for people to fall back into her orbit. Holden presses Claire further, asking if she truly believes Audra is incapable of telling the truth. Could there be any chance that Kyle initiated things in Nice, as Audra claims? Claire pauses, her eyes distant. She admits that while she loves Kyle, there's still a part of her that harbors doubt. Maybe Kyle isn't completely innocent. The idea gnaws at her, leaving her unsettled even as she clings to her belief that Audra is the true villain. This episode closes with emotional fissures widening across Genoa City, Billy strategizing silently while Sally plays the optimist, Adam and Chelsea plotting their next moves with Kane and Victor in mind, and Claire standing at the precipice of doubt. Nate is left torn between two women, one who claims to love him but spins lies, and another who risks everything to expose the truth. The fallout from Claire's confession and Audra's deception has only just begun, but the consequences are already set in motion. The next morning in Genoa City, the consequences of Claire's confession are still reverberating. Nate Hastings awakens in his condo with an unsettled mind, replaying every detail from the night before. Claire's trembling voice as she revealed the dirty breakup scheme echoes in his memory, but so do Audra's convincing denials. Nate prides himself on being rational, measured, and precise, yet in this situation, emotions cloud the truth. Audra's tears and pleas had tugged at him, but Claire's sincerity had pierced his defenses in a way he couldn't ignore. When Audra emerges from the bedroom, wearing her usual confident smile, Nate can't help but study her closely. She pours herself coffee and asks lightly if he slept well, but beneath the small talk, Nate sees her watchful eyes. She knows he's still unsettled. Claire is desperate, Audra says, breaking the silence. She wants to ruin us because she can't stand that you chose me. You're not going to let her win, are you? Nate hesitates. He hates ultimatums. Instead of answering, he tells Audra he has hospital work to focus on and leaves, but the unease lingers. Meanwhile, Claire Newman is at the Abbott estate, trying to ground herself after her confrontation with Nate. Kyle Abbott finds her in the sunroom, staring out the window. He gently asks what's wrong, but she resists at first. Eventually, Claire breaks down, confessing that she told Nate about Audra's plot. She admits she wanted to protect him, but the fallout has left her shaken. Kyle stiffens when he hears Audra's name. He knows the damage she's capable of. Claire, he says softly, you can't keep torturing yourself about what happened in Nice. I made mistakes, but none of it meant anything. He insists that Audra was the aggressor, the manipulator, but Claire's doubt slips through her expression. Kyle, stung, presses harder. Do you believe me, or do you believe her? His tone is sharp, not angry but wounded. Claire quickly assures him she loves him, but she can't help admitting that some small part of her still questions the truth. Kyle walks away, frustrated, leaving Claire alone with her turmoil. Elsewhere, Billy Abbott is pacing in his office at Abbott Communications, scribbling notes across a whiteboard full of deadlines and strategies. He's restless, thinking about Sally Spectra's optimism and Chelsea's suspicion. He knows Abbott Communications can't afford another failure. Sally arrives, glowing with enthusiasm and armed with a fresh marketing plan. She gushes about how Audra's ideas are cutting edge and will guarantee the launch success. Billy masks his doubt, telling Sally he'll back her decisions publicly, but inside, his instincts gnaw at him. He knows Audra Charles too well. Her loyalty never comes without an ulterior motive. At Crimson Lights, Chelsea Lawson meets with Kane Ashby. The two sit across from each other, the cafe bustling around them. Chelsea carefully raises the idea of Kane aligning with Victor Newman. Kane listens, skeptical, stirring his coffee. Victor doesn't make allies, Kane says flatly. He makes soldiers. And I'm not marching in his army. Chelsea pushes back, pointing out that Victor's power could give Kane leverage in his ongoing battles, especially against Newman Media's smear campaign. Kane admits it's tempting, but his pride bristles. He wants revenge on his own terms, not as Victor's puppet. Still, Chelsea sees the flicker of interest in his eyes. Later at Society, Adam Newman encounters Audra. The two exchange loaded pleasantries before Adam slyly needles her about Claire's little revelation. Word travels fast in this town, Adam smirks. I hear Claire thinks you were hired by Victor to seduce Kyle. Quite the accusation. Audra, smooth as ever, laughs it off. She insists Claire is spiraling and making wild claims out of insecurity. But Adam doesn't buy it so easily. He studies her, noting her defensiveness. The thing about lies, Adam says coolly, is that they are hard to keep straight. And you? You've been juggling too many. He leaves her rattled, though she hides it behind a tight smile. Back at the Abbott mansion, Jack Abbott notices Kyle's agitation. Kyle vents to his father, confessing that Claire confronted him about doubts over Nice. Jack listens patiently, then warns Kyle not to underestimate Audra's ability to manipulate. She'll use every weakness against you, Jack says. If Claire loves you, she'll see through it. But you have to be honest with her, completely honest. Kyle nods reluctantly. He knows Jack is right, but the thought of rehashing every detail with Claire terrifies him. Still, he resolves to fight for her trust. That evening, Nate meets Devon Hamilton at the GCAC rooftop. Over drinks, Nate cautiously brings up Audra. He frames it as a hypothetical, but Devon quickly catches on. If you're asking me whether Audra can be trusted, Devon says bluntly, the answer is no. She's ambitious. She'll say and do whatever she needs to get ahead. You've seen it yourself. Nate admits that Claire accused Audra of colluding with Victor. Devon's eyes widen, then narrow. That doesn't surprise me, he says. It fits her pattern. And Victor? Well, he wouldn't blink twice at pulling strings like that. Nate sits in silence, shaken by Devon's certainty. Meanwhile, Claire meets Holden Novak in Chancellor Park again. She tells him about her argument with Kyle and her regret over burdening Nate. Holden listens closely, his calm presence grounding her. He admits he doesn't fully trust Audra either, but he urges Claire not to let doubt destroy her relationship with Kyle. If you love him, fight for him, Holden advises. Don't let Audra win by tearing you apart from the inside. Claire nods, comforted, but the weight of uncertainty remains. The episode builds toward another collision when Audra shows up at Nate's place later that night. She's wearing her most disarming smile, carrying takeout, pretending nothing's wrong. But Nate isn't in the mood for games. He confronts her directly. Why would Claire say Victor hired you to go after Kyle? Audra freezes, then quickly regains composure. She spins another elaborate story, claiming Victor confided in her, warning her about Kyle's reckless heart, and she merely tried to steer Claire away from inevitable heartbreak. But Nate isn't convinced. He presses further, asking how she could possibly know Victor's thoughts if she wasn't working with him. Audra's answers grow weaker, her charm faltering. Desperate, she pulls Nate close, kissing him and whispering that Claire is only jealous of their connection. Nate kisses her back out of habit, but his mind is elsewhere. Claire's words ring louder than ever, and Audra's mask is beginning to crack. Elsewhere in town, Billy finalizes details for the launch party. Chelsea, unable to shake her intuition, warns Adam again that Billy is planning something bigger than Abbott Communications' public debut. Adam smirks, intrigued, but he can't quite pin down Billy's endgame. And at Newman Enterprises, Victor Newman himself is seen in his office, reviewing reports and sipping brandy. He smirks as he glances at Audra's name in one of the documents. Whether Claire's accusations are true or not, Victor's hand in the matter remains deliciously ambiguous. Victor always keeps his motives close to the vest, and this time is no different. The episode closes with a montage. Claire staring out a window at the Abbott estate, whispering to herself that she won't let Audra destroy her again. Nate standing alone in his living room, conflicted and silent, replaying both women's words in his mind. Audra sitting on the edge of Nate's bed, her smile fading as fear creeps into her eyes. Billy in his office, circling a date on the calendar, the launch party, his expression determined and secretive. Victor in his office, chuckling quietly as though he's orchestrating a game no one else can see.